Okay, next up on Man vs Pixels, I've been playing Dragon Knight, and Dragon Knight is an action RPG, sort of side-scrolling hack and slash from 2018. It's like 2.5D, you'd call it. It's like the models and everything are rendered in 2D, but it's got like a little bit of depth to the side-scrolling action. It's a Japanese anime style game, Japanese dialogue, lots of TNA nudity, and that sort of art style. Not quite hentai, but bordering on that. Its combat is revolves around sort of light and heavy attacks, combos and specials. There's an RPG element, there's a skill tree that you can invest skill points in to level up various different attributes. Items you can pick up and use in combat as you go through. It's quite small, but designed to be played through multiple times. So, the main character you play is called Sue. She's like a female fighter. So the combat she can do, like I said, it's based mainly on the old light and heavy attacks. Light, fast attacks that do small amounts of damage, slow, heavy attacks that do large amounts of damage. There's dodges and various combos that you can link together with your attacks and your movement. There's specials. There's like 2 meters you've got that fill up. There's a special you can do depending on the weapon you've got, and then there's like a different special you can do that comes off like once every now and then when you fill up the meter for it. So as you go through the game, you pick up different weapons and armor. They kind of got different attributes. Maybe it's because the game's in Japanese. Like there's English subtitles to most of the dialogue, but I didn't really get like what was going on with a lot of the attributes on the weapons and armor. But some of them are kind of obvious. So the damage you do and the hit points you get are kind of obvious, but there's other attributes that kind of weren't well explained. But you can usually tell what weapon and what armor is doing the best for you as you pick things up. It kind of does show you what stuff is higher or lower than the attributes you've already got, but like I say, it's not that well explained. But yeah, anyway, you can just pick them up and just have a different weapon and just have a different look. I mean, I don't think it makes that much difference in the end of the day. So there's like great big swords that are slow, there's like little small daggers and that are fast, and then there's like bows as well you can get for ranged attacks. And I kind of, after a bit of experimenting, I kind of found them the bows the best thing to use, really. It keeps you safer out of range for most enemies, and you can usually kill stuff before it even got to you. So like I say, it's like a 2.5D game. Models and the characters and that, everything's rendered in 2D, but it's got depth to the side scrolling. You can move like up and down, which equates to like moving in like a third dimension, but not quite. The background is quite colourful, and all the scenes and that are quite colourful, so you side scroll along for a few screens killing enemies, and then after a few screens you usually get like a little boss or a cutscene or something like that. Every time you clear a screen of enemies you get a treasure chest, and the treasure chest gives you like items. They could be like some weapons and some other items you use in combat to refill your health and maybe give yourself some extra attack power or extra armor during a fight, stuff like that. And then at the end of sort of each stage you get to spend your skill points. It's a skill tree that's quite large, quite a lot of things to level up in it. Each like node has got multiple levels to it. They range in variation from the usual increase your damage, increase your health, to increase your crit chance, and different things like that. But I found like as you went through, you ended up with plenty of skill points, and you could pretty much just level up everything in the end. But what you choose first is kind of down to you. But it's do the health and do the obvious ones, the health and the damage. They're the ones that will get you through to start with, and then you can start spending skill points on the more niche skills. So you go through the levels, and every now and then you'll get through a level, there'll be a vendor. You can sort of buy, it's not like a shop, it just kind of asks you if you want to buy a random item or a random weapon, and you can see what it drops for you. It might be better than what you've got, it might not. It's not nothing too detailed there, and as you go along, the story progresses. It's, you know, quite a crazy, usual Japanese kind of story. Nearly again, all the characters, or almost all the characters, are like female with massive boobs and sort of anime style features. It's quite funny. You do have to fight some of them as well. It's quite funny as well, because like, as you fight characters, like as their armor breaks, it just reveals more and more of their naked body underneath. So it's quite hilarious. It's not too hard. In fact, it's pretty easy. So it is quite fun, but not much more than just just an anime hack and slash. I don't think there's any real depth to the combat. You know, you can just get away with pressing the same button 3 times in a row, and then you use your specials when you've got them. So its full price is $2.79, so cheap. It took me 3.5 hours to play through it once. There's no DLC. It's designed to be played through multiple times, because when you go through it once, it puts you back at the start, and then it says like round 2 to go again. So if you want to go through again, you can. I'd started going through it for a few minutes and then found, well, it's just exactly the same as the first time round. To be honest, the enemies didn't seem to be any harder the second time round either. I was like one-shotting most of them the second time round. So I think once you've played it through one playthrough, even though you can go through again, I don't think there's any compelling reason to do so, unless you just happen to really, really like it. But at $2.79, that's a cheap full price game. But if it comes out on a sale, you're going to be picking it up for peanuts. So there's definitely that to look out for. But I think it's worth $2.79. But sale price, yeah, they'll be virtually giving it away. So keep an eye out for that. So that was Dragon Knight.